All right, welcome. My name is Jo Ellen. I'm with firstediting.com and welcome to Publishing Power. Today I have with me Lisa Tenner of Breathe, Write, Breathe. It's an award-winning book and she's here to share with us some insights on how you can better work with breathing and writing and put it all together and overcome some of those self-confidence issues. It's the 18 energizing practices to spark your writing and free your voice. You've won 9 book awards. Congratulations, Lisa. That is fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's very fantastic. I did want to mention also that you have a previous book here, The Joy of Writing Journal, and that has also won numerous awards, including the Nautilus, IPPY, and Ben Franklin. And you have served on the Harvard Medical School CME Publishing. Fantastic. We're so happy to have you here today. Please tell us a little bit about your book so we can get to know you.
Sure. Well, Breathe, Write, Breathe really was born of my discovering that when I did Qigong, which are some mindful movement and breathing exercises that come from China, really thousands of years old, many of these exercises. And when I found that when I did those exercises, it put me in a creative flow state. And so I started really working with that and writing these little kind of stories about writing or different things that happened, but had some kind of writing connection, pairing them with these creative practices, these Qigong mindful movement practices, and some prompts. And people were loving it. We were doing it in my book writing classes, my Get Your Writing Done class, and Bring Your Book to Life. And then I continued to write about it, and it quickly became a book. And I'm really excited. People, as I'm offering workshops and teaching the material in the book, I'm just hearing from people that they're amazed at how easy it is to get into that flow state and how much better the writing is when they do this. So it's been really fun, and the science backs it up. So that's nice too.
That's why we're here today. I want to talk a little bit about that science. I have some questions for you. Hope you don't
Sure.
mind. I've put them together here so that everyone can see them as I ask. I just wanted to ask you a little bit about the breathing. And
Hmm.
what does that have to do really? And we talk a lot about editing here. So the question
Yeah.
is, how does it affect writing? How does it affect editing? How do we incorporate this in our day-to-day work?
Yeah. So a lot of times we're breathing shallowly. And when that happens, we're kind of in that fight or flight mode, right? We're not really relaxed. And so we're not accessing our best brain power, our best creative power. And when we breathe deeply and we breathe into the lower abdomen and relaxed breaths, and our body relaxes, the central nervous system relaxes, then we're in a mode that actually enhances creativity, and that's scientifically proven. And that also, are just our best thoughts come forward, right? We can really focus because our blood can go to the brain, and it's not just going to, kind of those outer extremities so that we can run or get away from that saber-toothed tiger.
Oh, of course, of course. And I mean, I like to play this overall because writing is that creative part, but also clearing your mind when you're getting into the self-editing before you come in.
Yes.
It is something that you kind of need to wipe away everything because you tend to over judge yourself or criticize when that's really not the time. But I do appreciate that, always breathing. I mean, it is the basis of everything, is it not?
It is, it is.
So tell us about Qigong a little bit and, how does it tap into that creative flow? I know you've mentioned it scientifically, but can you explain a little bit more of how you do that? Maybe some of the.
Yes, yeah. So there's some practices that are mindful movement, and some of those are slow, and others are actually quite active. And I would say the active ones also are a form of exercise, and exercise is also proven to support our creative flow. And that can mean, again, writing or editing, which also is a creative activity. And and there are mindful movement exercises, there are also breathing exercises, and I've also incorporated some breaths from yoga, a system called polarity yoga, which is
Mhm.
loosely based, I think, on Kundalini yoga. But those exercises work with different elemental breaths. So earth breath, for example, would be in through the nose and out through the nose. That's one I love for editing because the earth element is very good for grounding. It's good for foundational activities. It's good for outlining, structure. So all of those things kind of come to play when you're editing, structure and foundation. So I love that for that. The water breath is more a flow kind of breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, and that's a
Mhm.
good one. Probably for either. And then something like air, if you're kind of wanting to be whimsical and kind of not so grounded, then air in through the mouth, out through the mouth is a good one. I wouldn't suggest that one for editing, but maybe for certain kinds of writing.
Absolutely. I'm so excited today. I wasn't thinking about it, but I'm actually I'm a certified yoga instructor myself, and so experimenting with Kundalini and the different practices, it is exciting. And it can elevate you. I guess is
Mhm.
the best way to say, and it really is a different experience. And at first, you're kind of, if you've never done that or experienced it, it's quite a high, but it's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, and it's fun to play with the different breaths because they'll, uh, influence you in different ways, and so they might be really perfect for one phase of writing or editing, and then another one might be better for another phase, so it's fun to play with it and see how each breath affects you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love to see how we can incorporate our body into our mind. It's so important today. We
Mhm,
also talk a lot when we're writing and when we're editing about getting stuck. It can be
mhm,
writer's block, it can be self-confidence on how to approach it and not knowing if you've done enough or yeah, how do I get that?
mhm.
So how do we apply that breathing and qigong and all the methods that you're discussing in your book with editors becoming unstuck?
Yeah. So I'd say, one piece is that if we're sitting at a desk all day, we're not really moving, our energy gets what's called stagnant in Chinese
Mhm.
traditional medicine, right? And it just means that things aren't really flowing. And that will apply to our creativity as well and our and also all the aspects of things that our mind needs to do when we're editing.
Mm,
So moving, breathing will absolutely help, and, one breath I love, this is also a yoga breath actually, is breath of joy, right? You breathe in 3 times, up, and then your hands go out, and then the 3rd breath, your hands go up, and then you release with a sound and release the arms, and your head might kind of go forward. And, that's a lovely breath, and it's very energizing. So, if I'm stuck, sometimes I want something really energizing, and that's a good one, or qigong bouncing, is also and shaking is a very nice
mm,
breath because 'cause you're moving a lot, and I think it just gets the blood flowing too. So, those
right.
are some good ones if you're feeling stuck. If you're feeling a lot of self-doubt, then again, something like the breath of joy is nice because it puts you into a beautiful state, that's fairly joyous and happy. You might feel a little bit, uh, yeah, freed from that state of self-doubt. And, self-doubt is being very much in the mind, right? It's kind of stuck kind of thing. And so when we move into our bodies at all, whether it's with deep breathing or actual physical movement, either of those is gonna help us to get out of the ego space and where the mind's really overthinking and get into a space where we're just more present in our bodies. And when we're present in our bodies, that's when shift can happen, when healing comes, and it can be very instantaneous, right?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. You're preaching to the choir. So I think that's fantastic. Can you share with us some of the practices that, I mean, you kind of mentioned the first one about the positive joy breathing. So
Mhm.
how do we get into the flow and how does it work for, I know that you do some groups sometimes
Mhm.
online and you do different, they can be physical. I know we're kind of limited here, but you're probably used to that.
Yeah.
How does it work? Can you show us a little bit more
Yeah,
into that?
absolutely. I'll actually show you, trying to think of, yeah, why don't I show the breath of joy? Because that's such a simple one. Does that
Mhm.
sound good? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I don't know how well you can hear me. Can you hear me okay? Just give me a thumbs up. Okay, great.
Yep.
So we take a deep breath in and in again and in again.
Nice. And is my understanding you're kind of doing these breathings, you're doing the breathing together in a group setting online. Tell us a little about those online classes.
Yeah, I have a class called Get Your Writing Done, which actually is kind of a perfect opportunity if you're working with first editing and you're working on editing and suddenly you feel like, oh, I need to get more writing done so I can send my editor more stuff. What we do is we get in a flow state and online, and then for most of the time, we write and we end with gratitude and some Q&A if people have questions or need a little laser coaching if they're stuck. And sometimes people share a tiny bit of what they wrote, but the focus really is on getting writing done from a flow state. So we start all the calls with something like breath of joy or qigong bouncing or some kind of deep breathing. And we set one word intentions and then we move into the writing.
That's fantastic. I mean, I really do believe that people should not only be mindful about what they're doing and set the intentions, but also finding a community that supports one another is very much part of writing, editing, publishing, all of it. So it just makes the world a little bit more fun. And
Mm-hmm.
there's always, a little tidbit out there that you just had no idea existed, and it may change your entire, your life. So
Mm-hmm.
connect on those. So my last question for you today is really, what do you suggest for overcoming self-doubt? Because that's what a lot of this is about. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
connection and other things, but people have self-doubt when they're writing. We on our side deal quite often with people who say, well, I don't know how to edit. And we try to encourage them to self-edit because they get a better return on their investment with editing. So how does one incorporate this kind of mindful breathing and the techniques within your book? And maybe you want to share a few bit more, but how do we overcome that self-confidence and the blocks and that we're talking about?
Yeah, there are a number of ways, I think. One of the things that can be really helpful is I have an exercise called Meet Your Muse, and it's a guided visualization. It's a wonderful way to get out of our heads and ego and just kind of go on a little journey through in a meadow and through the woods into this little building where the muse is waiting. And we have a list of questions. Sometimes it's just one question, sometimes it's more. But, if it's something about, can I really do this? And
Mm,
help me get the confidence. And it's really interesting because people will often get sort of symbolic answers from the muse or something very personal to them.
mm,
I'm not giving them the answers, they're just asking and they're getting it from inside, right? But there's a part of them, an aspect of them that is really their innate wisdom and creativity that's speaking back to them. And the answers will sometimes be playful or profound, and they'll feel an internal shift. So that's one of my
mhm,
favorite exercises for that. But any of the movement, the breath of joy is a good one because it puts you in such a great state.
mm.
Any of it really.
Oh, that's good. That's very good. So if we want to find out more information about Write, Breathe, Right,
Breathe, right,
and
breathe.
breathe, right, breathe, blah, 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 breathe, right, breathe. Besides going to Amazon and just ordering a copy, tell us where we can find out more and meet and communicate with you.
Yeah, my website, lisatenor.com, is a great place to start. And you'll find more about the book on that page, as well as the Get Your Writing Done program and other kinds of things that might help you get into creative flow for writing and get those books written.
Sounds great. This sounds absolutely fantastic. Lisa, congratulations on your book. Thanks for coming to visit us again. And thanks for all the insight here. I encourage everyone to breathe that joy of happiness and joy, and let us all participate and grow in every step that we're doing. And again, reach out if you need any editing or writing. We're all here to help one another, and we wish you the best of luck. We'll see you in our next episode.